Champloo. It's an stupendous anime. It's very well made, and I love it because the soundtrack is great. It's amazing. It's my favorite soundtrack out of any anime. And just take this. This is a very particular anime where you can actually find crossover between urban culture, which we could recognize as rap, and Edo period Japan, which if you really look at it, those two don't mix well together. Those two, I can't really think of another scenario where they can coincide. The director, Mangalo, did it perfectly, did it very, very, very well. And if you know, the creator of Samurai Champloo is the same creator from Cowboy Bebop. That's a very good detail. That's a very unique way to look at it, because if you look at characters from both series, for example, Spike and Mugen, you can obviously see that they resemble each other, not just from their looks, but from their actions and their character. So anyways, as always, I'm going to give you an overview about this anime, and then afterwards, I'm going to rate this from character development, plot progression, animation, soundtrack, and ending. So first of all, the first episode is kind of all over the place. We see three different scenes, or three different characters, or main characters, Fu, Mugen, and Jean, are in three different places, but they end up in one. And then afterwards, Fu ends up saving them. So the first character, Fu, is in a little predicament, and she ends up she's in a coffee house, and she ends up spilling sake on the governor's son, and he threatens her to cut her finger. So meanwhile, while that's happening, Jean is helping this peasant, or this old man, stand up to the governor. He kills all the governor's bodyguards, or yakuza as you call them, and that creates a conflict. The governor's like, "Oh, you can be my bodyguard," and Jean's like, "You're garbage." Like, fuck you, Jean's boss. And then Mugen, he just happens to stumble in at the perfect time and saves Fu. And while he does that, he cuts this guy's arm off, which has relevance towards the plot later on. It actually still has relevance in this episode, as he comes back into the coffee shop and actually sets it on fire. After that, Mugen and Jean meet each other at the coffee place, well, before it gets burned down. They start fighting, and if you really take a good look at it, Jean is very calm, collected. You can tell he's been trained. He has very good analytical skills, and you can see that he's a very good swordsman. On the other hand, Mugen's upbringing wasn't that good, because he grew up in Ryuk Islands, which is an island for mercenaries, bandits, criminals, and everything. He just knew how to fight because he had to survive. So his style is very unpredictable and unorganized, and Jean says that a lot. And he also says he's the only man that Jean couldn't kill because of that fighting style. So after that, they get captured, and then Fu ends up saving them. And after that, they make a deal, which is broken a lot throughout the anime. They make a deal that since Fu helped them escape, they're gonna help Fu find the samurai that smells of sunflower. So throughout the show, they meet a bunch of very colorful characters, a very wide variety of a lot of characteristics, and they're all different. They all have a lot of different things to bring to the story, and because of that, it develops Mugen, Jean's, and Fu's character. So, but yeah, it's basically them going on an adventure, kind of getting sidetracked. A lot of the adventures, a lot of the episodes are not really relevant to the plot, since the main plot is looking for this samurai that smells the sunflowers. They get distracted, a bunch of shit happens, but I don't mind because it's actually very entertaining. It's not something that is boring and dull and it's just gonna make you say fuck. Also, this has very crude sense of humor, and it's just funny. Mugen just says the funniest things, and he's crude and tough, and just comes out in a very humoristic way. That's basically the overview. Now I'm gonna go for character. As far as character development goes, they have episodes dedicated to them, which they touch upon their past and upon everything. Fu gets a little bit more development, since the plot is mostly revolving around her, around finding this samurai. So as far as the plot, it's not over the top excellent, but it's not really bad. So you will find plot development. And you can even see that little minor characters like Oni Wakamaru, or the Dutch guy, I forgot his name, but the Dutch guy actually get pretty good development. They get decent development, enough for it to fill one episode. Like I said, there's sort of filler episodes, but they're not boring. After 7.5, I would give it for the character development. Not too great, not too bad. As far as the plot progression, like I said, it's all over the place. The plot doesn't really progress. They travel Japan, but then they get sidetracked, they get separated, they get into midst of battles, which really have nothing to do with the plot. But a lot of these battles serve to develop these characters. So it doesn't really serve the plot until later on. So as far as plot progression, I'm going to have to give it a 6.5, because it's not up to par with a lot of series that I really enjoy that have steady plot progression where it actually goes somewhere and it doesn't feel like, oh, this is not going anywhere, like why am I watching this? But like I said, a lot of shows like these, like for example Naruto, that have thousands of episodes of filler, you're like, oh my god, why am I watching these flashbacks? I can just read the manga. Obviously people don't do that because you guys are very obsessed with Naruto. I don't mind, I my cup of tea, whatever. In retrospect, these fillers are actually very well made, and again, it's nothing that you're going to be bored about, but again, it doesn't progress the plot any further until later episodes. So yeah, 6.5. The animation, it's like, it was made in 2004, I think, yeah, correct, if I'm correct, if not, correct me, it's made in 2004, so the animation is not that great, but it's not bad. It's raw, and the fighting style they have is very fluid, and it's not these battles where it's drawn out, like they're actual humans. You could tell because one or two slashes and they're dead, you know. So these battles are very drawn out. I mean, they're not drawn out, and when they fight, like I've said, pretty fluid. Like you could see they have some sort of choreography, and it's not just the same, I'm just gonna hit in the same spot, maybe I'll move one hit, and they just keep doing that all over. No, they actually do different kind of things. Like, for example, you see Mugen actually, like, do some breakdance stuff, and stop a blade with, like, his feet. It's crazy. It's good. As far as the fights go, and the animation of the fights, it's very well done. Everything else is cool, it has a different style of animation, which, if you're used to standard conventional animation, it might be a problem, I guess. But if you're open to new things, it's good. Alright, so as far as animation, I could give it a 7.5. The soundtrack, oh my god, the soundtrack to this show is phenomenal. It, like I said, it's a crossover from rap and Edo period Japan. It's crazy. It's very well, very well made. And I have nothing else to say. You have to experience it for yourself, and you will realize that the way they made it is perfectly done. So I will have to give the soundtrack a 9. I just love it. I love the soundtrack. The ending, I don't know how I feel about the ending, to be honest. Part of me is happy the way it ended. Part of me isn't. If you realize this, where it takes place is an Edo period, they're just, the way the samurai is dying out, and samurai, like, swords are not allowed, the way the samurai is dying out, and people like killers and yakuza and like samurais are not really fit for this world, because like this is a recurrent theme. Money and power is what is going to rule Japan in the future, opposed to like the past, which is power as in not stature, but power as in fighting skills and just demeanor. So part of me didn't like how it ended. I wish it would have ended differently. I wish it would have ended the other way. If you have seen the show and you're watching this, you will know what I mean. But I have no complaints about it. The last couple episodes were a thriller, and I was like kept on the edge of my seat, and I was like, oh my god. I remember being in school like a year or two ago, and I'm like in math, and I'm like, no, this is not happening. Don't do it. Just get up, get the fuck up. And my teacher's yelling at me and shit, but I don't care. It's anime. Who the fuck cares about algebra? So, as far as the ending goes, I'm very satisfied with it. I will give it an 8.5. The rating, as far as my rating system go, I would give it 7.5 to an 8. But as far as my enjoyment, I have to give it a 9.5. Because this is one of my favorite animes of all time. It's my favorite samurai anime. And biasly, me giving my personal taste and my personal opinion, I'm going to put it a lot higher than a lot of shows that I'm going to review and just decompose and deconstruct by piece. But I don't really look at these things when I look at Champloo because I'm so fond of it. But in a real rating, I would have to give it a 7.5 to 8 because there are flaws to it, and I'm gonna admit there are flaws to it. But if you can overlook those flaws, you will see a masterpiece of an anime, resembling even Cowboy Bebop, which is the creator's earlier project. This is very entertaining anime. Action, you name it, you have everything you could possibly want. Like I said, if you can overview these details, then this might be an anime for you. This is not everybody's cup of tea, so I at least suggest you try it out. Thank you.